Welcome to Book Huddle. I'm your host, Karen Reader with Readgab. Today, our guest is Marcella Pixley, and I am excited to share about this book and for our conversation that we have coming about Neshama. But first, I'd love, Marcella, for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
I love going mudlarking. Have you ever heard of mudlarking?
I don't think I know what mudlarking is. No, tell me about it.
Well, mudlarking is finding little pieces of pottery and sea glass and
Oh, and
um,
it's what they
little
do in Neshama.
that it is,
Is
it
that
is.
similar to what they're doing?
It's
Okay,
exactly what they're doing.
perfect.
And so that experience of going and like looking at low tide in the mud for things that used to belong to other people is something that I really, really love doing. So I love digging in old bottle dumps
Nice.
and at places where people used to live to see what I can find. And so that's something I really love doing. So
Nice.
that's something about me.
Oh, that's fun.
And another thing that I wanted to tell you is that recently I've been seeing a lot of bears.
Oh, you're in Massachusetts, you said?
I'm in Massachusetts, and
Is it
I
black
live
bear?
in black bears. Yes. The other day, I saw two wonderful black bears walking around in my yard, and they just looked like big kids in pajamas. And I wanted to go out and hug them, but I knew it wasn't a good idea.
Guys, want to come in and watch a show?
I know. Come on in,
Have some hot
bears.
cocoa. Well, that's what when I lived in Virginia once, I thought there was a black bear right next door to the house where I was at. I was out doing the garbage. And then as I'm like panicking, hurrying inside, I realized it was my neighbor's very large black dog.
Oh,
Like, oh,
almost as good.
we're okay, Karen, calm down. But always out there, people would be like, watch out, there's black bear out wandering. They're in this neighborhood right now because we backed up to George Washington National Forest and
Oh, that's lucky.
we would get them for sure.
Yeah. So those are two really random facts about me.
Well, I
And wait,
love
I have
it.
one more that I want to tell. Can I
Perfect.
tell
What is
one
it?
more fact?
Yes.
Okay, so besides being a writer, I'm also an eighth grade teacher. And so I've been teaching eighth grade for probably almost, well, let's see, I think this is year 25.
Nice.
I've been teaching eighth grade for a really long time, and my students are a huge inspiration for my books.
Thank you for teaching eighth grade. Kids need somebody that is good to them and loves them and sees them. And I'm just so grateful for each teacher out there. My sons are right in between, or are right around that age. I've got a seventh grader and a 10th grader. So, I've got kids that are recently in your grade and are going to be. And that's just so important. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So then to get to know a little bit more about you, we're going to ask you a question based on a book. And this year I read this just incredible book that is just such a treasure. I loved it. Pocket Bear by Catherine Applegate, and it's about this real cat, but then these toys. And in particular, one of them is the pocket bear that the soldiers would have in their pockets that would look up at them to, and remind them of their family that's thinking of them. And hoping that all goes well and praying for them back home. And so then it also just has so many other toys in the book too. So can you tell us about a toy that has been special to you?
Oh, there are so many, and I had such a hugely active imagination as a kid and always had um, little objects that I would hold in my hand. And I liked taking them to school. I'm actually right now writing a book that has to do with a girl who has some toys that are starting to feel real to her. And so I was actually like looking for some toys. So can I show you
Yes,
some
please do.
that I have? These two toys from my childhood that are not like the pocket bear, but they're pretty cool. So this is a Pegasus. I
Nice.
loved fantasy as a kid. So here's a Pegasus, and then here's a unicorn.
Fun. I love it. I
In
love it.
all of my books, there's a character whose imagination or whose mind is incredibly active and usually works in a slightly different way than the norm.
Right?
So my characters are kind of very imaginative neurodivergent thinkers outside the box. And so the question about what is your favorite toy is one that really appeals to me.
Yes, I love it. And that I love that you still have those are toys that you had when you were a child, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you still have some and that they're important and they make an impact on us because, play is how children grow. And
Oh,
play
yeah.
is such an important thing. It's how they learn, it's how they experience life. And we should continue to play in our own way and
Yes.
never give up on that.
Oh, I agree completely.
Love it so much. Okay, tell us about Neshama. First of all, I just love the sound, that word, Neshama, and it means soul, correct?
It does, and actually, it can be said in two different ways.
Okay.
Um, Neshama is Hebrew,
Okay.
and so if the word is going to be, it comes up in a prayer, it would be said that way, Neshama.
Okay.
But if you say it in Yiddish, which was the way my grandparents said it, they would say neshama. So they would say shena neshama.
Nina
And
Neshama.
so I like hearing it both ways. And in my mind, I call the book Neshama. That
Neshama.
coming from my own Bubby's way of speaking that word.
Nice. Well, and that's the Bubby in the book speaks Yiddish, and so
Yes.
which would be
Yeah.
personal to you. Yes. So okay.
Yeah. Which
Neshama.
and Neshama, and so did my Bubby. And so the story of Neshama is about a girl named Anna who has this very special talent, which is the ability to see and speak to and communicate with ghosts,
Right.
with spirits. And she discovers that she has the ability to write poetry to the spirits of her ancestors, and especially one particular ancestor, a ghost named Ruthie, who has a score to settle. And
Right.
so Anna is a girl who is looking to connect with her ancestors. And because of an act of anti Semitism that happened in her family's past, she hasn't had the experience or the ability to kind of hold on to her cultural identity or her religious identity as a
Right.
Jewish girl. And it's a story about her learning to come closer to that aspect of who she is through the relationship she has with this ghost named Ruthie, who becomes a very important part of the book.
Right.
So it's a book about bravery and finding your identity and
Yes.
healing.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Love it so much. Let's talk about the ancestors. Can you tell me why you think it's important for us to connect and notice our ancestors? I want to share a quick little quote from your book that it says, "They never leave us. They just stay one step behind, waiting for us to notice."
Well, I really believe that's true. I have this wonderful picture, and I'm kind of wishing that I had it right here to show to you. But I have a picture that's really important to my family, which is my grandfather's, well, a photograph that was taken of my grandfather's family when they first came to America. And I have always loved looking at this picture because I see parts of myself in their faces. I see a look that I recognize, even though I've never met these people. And some of it has to do with like facial features, like this thing that I have on my face is something that all of
Oh,
them
where it
have.
goes down right here. Yeah.
This, yeah,
I,
that gets
yeah.
more pronounced as I get older.
Right?
But it's also just the feeling that their stories linger and they lived their lives with the hope that things would be easier for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And so I feel connected to them. And I've always felt that through that picture, but also through the stories that my grandfather and grandmother told me. So I think that we feel that we're separate from the people who came before us, but we're really not. That we're part of their dreams, and sometimes we carry their trauma with us, and it becomes the the burden or the task of one generation to heal from what happened in the generation before. So that's part of what's happening in Neshama, where Anna is having to make a decision about whether to hold on to the hurt that her family has kept secret because of some hard things that happened in their past, or whether she's ready to be connected but also to find her own way.
Right. I love that. Whether she's ready to be connected and also self is so important, right? And that is important and powerful. And so Ruthie's helping her and she feels excited about how Ruthie can help her and be like this power, give her bravery. But she does go on a journey, so much of self. And I like that so much. Like on, again, I'll share a few lines. Well, she just says, who I am meant to be. One of your verses is called Finding Anna, and it's just about herself, finding herself, and then just one soul. Like she feels empowered by the multiple souls, and that's so great. And it's like community is important and family is important, but self is important. Like
Yeah.
feeling that your own identity and that strength that comes. And what else can you do but be yourself, right? And
Well, I mean, if only it were that easy. And I
yes.
mean,
Yes, especially for a child that age, especially for those eighth graders you are with, right?
yeah. But I mean, I think a lot of teachers are drawn to the quirkiness of middle schoolers, but that's really what is the best stuff in us is the parts of us that don't fit. Those are the precious
Yeah.
parts, and so that's part of what Neshama is about. It's like what I mean. Anna has this talent of being able to see ghosts that nobody understands or
Yeah.
believes, and everybody is pushing her to hide it. Her teachers are saying, "You're scaring other kids with this, stop." Her father is saying, "You seem crazy when you're talking to these ghosts. Why do you want people to think that about you?" Everybody's worried about her and telling her to dim her light and try to fit in. What kind of world would it be if we all did that?
Right? That'd be
Yeah,
boring.
it would be
That's what kind of world
terrible.
it would be. It would be boring.
It would be incredibly boring, and there'd be really no point because
Right.
it's the people that push, the people who are themselves that push us to be ourselves. And that's the best part of it. But I think it takes real bravery to say to the world, I have things about me that are different. I
Right.
see ghosts. I write poetry with them. I am Jewish and the people around me aren't. I want to connect with and be part of my family's story, even though the people who live in my neighborhood have a different faith background than I do or have different historical background than I do. So all of those things, what I'm hoping is that this book gives permission to people of all different backgrounds to make the decision to be connected to who they are and who the people are that brought them to this world because those stories are really important and they're precious.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Love that. Tell me about creating when you first started to have the idea. Tell us about how this came to be.
Well, this is a little bit weird. So are
We
you ready
like
for
weird.
a weird
As you were saying
story?
that too
I mean,
about, people trying to be who they are. My daughter is 5, and the biggest insult to her right now is weird. And with all my kids, I'm trying to be like, weird is good, guys.
weird is good.
Weird is good and important, and embrace the weird,
Yes.
embrace the different things about you, and don't think as weird as bad.
No, it's
We like
good
weird.
stuff. I tell my students this all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm 55 now, so it's time to just lean in, I figure,
Yes.
Why it's time to just shine it, shine the light. The idea for this book came to me, well, I've been thinking about ancestors and
Right.
ghosts and identity a lot, and I talk about that in my class and teach about it. So that's something that I've been exploring for a very long time. I got this idea to write about ghosts the summer of 2020 when I had just a lot of time on my hands, which, we all did during 2020. And I have this house in Gloucester, Massachusetts, that's an old, haunted looking cabin that's up on a hill. And I've always felt that there were spirits there and that there were stories that needed to be unearthed. This place is a place, on a tidal river,
Nice.
tidal, not tidal, where at low tide it's like mud dry, and at high tide there can be up to about 15 feet of water.
Right.
And at low tide, you find these things, or at least we used to. We've pretty much picked it clean at this point, but
Right.
you find these little shards of people's stories, and it just got me thinking about what if I could write a story about a girl who could come into contact with the spirits of a place by holding those little shards in her hands, and who would emerge. Would there be the ghosts that came from her family? Would there be spirits that came from the land that were there before her family was there? Would there be the people who touched those shards? And I started writing poems sitting on the dock about imagining what might surface. And those poems slowly began to take shape into a ghost story, and Neshama was that story. And luckily, Candlewick Press was very excited about it, even though it's sort of a strange idea. This novel in verse where the ghosts are writing stories and the ghosts are writing poems and the girl is writing poems back to the ghosts.
Yeah.
But that's where the book came from.
I love it. I love it. And was this your first novel in verse?
It was, yes, but it's not my first poetry. When I first started writing, my first published writing, it was poetry, and I wrote my master's degree about some different poets and wrote a collection of poetry when I was in graduate school, and so my writing roots are in poems.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so much of it, you can just see the beauty of the language. So I'm gonna take a second and read one of the
Great.
little verses because I and I had so many. I was like, okay, so I'm thinking about doing this one, this one. Okay, there's about eight that I'm thinking about doing. So I'll just do one of them.
I love it. I don't get my book read to me very often.
Good. I do. I
A
love
treat.
to read parts out loud. It makes me so excited to just share. I often wonder what the author thinks when I do this.
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
I'm going to share your words.
Oh, it's a gift.
All right, we're going to just read part of Remnants. It's on page 87. The snowy egret steps out like a dancer onto the bubbling clam beds. An ancient crab scuttles from beneath. A barnacled rock to open and close its claws in the salty shadows, while the marsh empties, it dreams to the sea. And I love the choice of words, and this is just describing things that are going on. And this is when they're out mudlarking, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so it's just so every now and then I would just be like, we're going through story for a while, the poems are telling a story. And just every now and then I would just get so absorbed, I would read it and I would reread it and I'd just sit and love the verse so, so much because just the choice of words and the beauty and the way that you put them together, I thought was just gorgeous.
Thank you.
I'm just going to
That makes
read.
me really happy to know that's what I was hoping the experience would be.
Yes. Yeah. And then, like, this one's called Whisper, and I'm going to start partway through so I don't give something away. In half whispering, words whiffling, inhaled and exhaled, like the sound of winter wind, falling rain through a chimney, dry leaves swirling in an empty hearth. And just every now and then, like I said, there's just beautiful words, but then the story just flows so lovely amidst this all. And it made me so excited. I'm so, so glad that novels in verse are just becoming such a popular thing for middle grade right now
Yeah.
because for one, it's something that a kid can pick up. And what's the first thing anybody does when they pick up a book? They look to see how close the type is. And my camera doesn't want to handle this. But I think it just looks like a white page to you, right?
No,
But
no, it's starting to come clear.
it
Yeah.
you can see that white space that it just shows a kid that it's like, hey, I can do this. Look, I can handle this page. So it's like these are 2 pages with 4 or 5 lines each. I can handle that.
Hmm.
It gives the kids confidence first off, but
Yep.
then the story's still there and there's so many themes still there. And so I love the poetry of it. And one of the phrases on page 77, it says poetry by prayer, poetry by faith, and fire. And I just feel like this totally describes the book in itself. That this is what the book is. It's so important that you've got these connections of religion, and whether somebody has any Jewish connection or not, that's fine. You know what I mean? You could just enjoy the story because there's this amazing ghost story going on, and these connections and things to the past, and these friend things. There's a lot of friend and family and meanness on both sides going on, but there's plenty of peak moments, of
Thank you.
intense
And
moments.
my hope is that no matter what a person's background is,
Yes.
they will be able to relate with the idea that our families come from somewhere and have a history, and we all hold the traumas and hurts from our families inside us. And you don't have to be familiar with Judaism to understand where Anna is coming from, that her desire to know her people and to understand where they're from and what their stories are, and even as close as just the generation before where this anti-Semitism took place, just the desire to know where you're from is something that all humans can, I think, can relate to. And
Yes.
it's wonderful what you chose to read. That first poem that you read was actually the first poem I wrote for the book. That
Nice.
that that poem about the heron stepping out like a dancer was the beginning of this book.
Nice. Oh, I
So
love
you
it.
went right to it. You
Right
went
where
right
where it all
to
comes together.
ground zero.
Let's talk about, as we're talking about family, there's so much within this, and also within the friendship thing, like I was saying, that forgiveness is such a big thing, but it's not just for the living. Like there's a need for the ghosts and a need between the living and the ghosts to have forgiveness.
Yes,
And
that's a
so,
huge theme in the book.
yes, let's talk forgiveness. What was that like creating that? What were your thoughts going through with that?
Well, it's complicated because I think that we have choices in our lives about how we hold the hurt that has been done to us. And I mean, it's not always easy to know how to handle the trauma that comes from from cruelty that can happen between people. And so I don't think that forgiveness means that you have to forget about something that's happened that has wronged you.
Yeah,
So that's not what forgiveness means in my mind.
no,
But
absolutely.
I think that it takes a very certain kind of bravery to say to the world, this has happened, it has hurt. I'm not saying that what happened was right, like I'm not excusing it,
No,
but that I want to heal, and that I don't know any way to heal except for to kind of let it go, like that heron in the story. And so I think that in this way, the book is about intergenerational trauma. So her family has been holding on to hurt for several generations, for many generations, and Anna, as the catalyst of the story, has a decision to make. Like in her generation, is she going to be able to heal and be lifted and be able to have like a clean and joyful experience with her own identity? And so that's I mean that's sort of a messy answer to your question, but I
no,
think that that
like it.
we are living in a world where many, many, many people are holding on to terrible hurts, and they have a right to all of their pain,
Right.
and all of that is real and important. But focusing on forgiveness can bring empathy and can help us understand that people are imperfect, and holding on to the hurt for too many generations can just result in getting stuck.
Right. And prevent that healing and prevent
Yeah.
that growth. And yeah, I think we saw
And
multiple
prevent
characters.
peace,
Yeah,
which we all deserve, and
we
joy.
all we all deserve peace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And there's one line that I really liked in the book. It says that one day we might feel this kind of peace every single day of the week. But it's actually talking about Shabbos. Do I say that right?
Shabbos, yes, or
Shabbos.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Shabbos is
Yeah,
the
is the holy
Yiddish
day,
way.
right? The of the
Yeah,
week.
yeah, the
Yeah.
like a day of rest.
When it talks about Shabbos and just she goes and she's able to experience this and it brings her so much peace. And she wishes so much to carry this with her throughout the week because throughout the week is when it's hard.
Yeah,
And when she's, around other people or things that her dad starts saying, like she doesn't get to hold on to this peace. And I think that has a lot of relevance going back to that forgiveness that we were just talking about and holding on to that piece, that it need not be a one-time thing, that's when forgiveness is whole and complete within ourselves or whatever. And there's so many different characters in your book that have different levels of forgiveness, forgiving self, or the one who is seeking forgiveness, or the one who is trying to give forgiveness. And it was really, really interesting to see Anna, and she see, sees somebody that needs to be forgiven earlier on in the book, this, and she's more ready to forgive him than other family members are. But
right.
then
Jeremy,
she's
you
not
were
ready to
talking
give
about.
forgiveness to somebody else. So we all are at these different stages, and I think we all need that peace.
Yeah, I agree.
Back to Shabbat. Tell me about this and what it's done for you in your life and in your family with your faith.
Oh, well, I
If
wish
you don't
I
mind.
no, I don't mind at all. I like the question a lot. So I wish that I celebrated it more frequently because it is in very more religious Jewish households than I grew up in. It's on every it it starts at sundown on Friday and ends at sundown on Saturday. And in my mom's family during Shabbat, there wouldn't be, no one would be using any electronics. And at that time, that would just be like, the light or the radio. And the family would just gather together and have a special meal of chicken soup and light candles and say some prayers and then just and rest. Family would come over and visit, and that was my mother's family's experience with Shabbat. For me growing up, it wasn't really until I was an adult that I celebrated it very frequently and joined a synagogue. It's just like a way to take a breath and to separate the like the crazy full work part of the week and just focus on just giving space to your own spirit, to your own neshama.
Nice.
So I really wanted to capture that feeling of taking a breath and getting and like letting the hard things lift a little bit.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And your own neshama, like that is so important. And that when the Bube, she's, talking to her, and at one point Anna says, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what the words mean, but I know I feel the love.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important for us to feel the love and to feel the importance of our own soul. And not everybody wants religion, but I think there is a certain number of young people that do and that are seeking this. And to see it just lightly throughout this book, because like I said, a kid could read the book and have that part kind of just glaze over them and enjoy the other
The
parts
ghost
of
story.
the ghost story, because the ghost story is so pivotal there.
Yeah.
But like, so anybody that's listening that's like, no, I do not have a kid interested in religion, don't not give it to them because of that. Like, it's not
No.
that's what it's all about or anything. But those that are curious, and you might be surprised who is, that it just might give them some little thoughts to have. It's not anything that's like, this is the religion, this is what you got to do. It's not anything of a forceful thing, but it's there. And it just might provide some thoughts and reflections for them about religion and why it can be helpful and beneficial to have this connection to it.
Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it
I,
will.
I think so. I find it, I think it's beautiful. Actually, I I don't know how you feel about this for an example of one of the few things of my connections. I have been to synagogue, but one of my exposures to the Jewish faith is Fiddler on the Roof. So,
Yeah, me too.
okay. I don't know if that's like something that they're like, okay, that just does
No,
not
not at
represent very
all.
well. Okay. So when they say good Sabbath, I'm like, I love that phrase so much. And I wish that was like a phrase for everybody just because it's like, it is an important day. And I want to say that like all the time, like just to be like, hey, good Sabbath, like a greeting. I think that's
Well,
one of
you
the
can do
most
that.
beautiful things. And I was like, 'cause
Tomorrow is Friday, so you can do that.
so I can say good Sabbath.
Yeah. I
It's,
mean, so there is this religious element in the book, and there are mentions of Shabbat and Yiddish. There's some
Mhm.
Yiddish words in it as Anna learns more about her background and spends more time with her bubby, which means grandmother in Yiddish, in her cabin. She learns more about her Jewish faith, which is something that has been sort of hidden from her
Yes,
because her
because her
father has
dad has
turned away.
decided no thanks.
Yeah, but I guess what I would say for people out there who are interested in the book but are coming at it from a different faith background or from a different cultural background, that really what this is a book about learning how to embrace your complex identity
Yes.
and your family's complex identities.
Ah,
Like Anna has a parent who is Jewish and a parent who isn't Jewish. And she has a grandmother who's very religious, but a father who isn't, and whose mother is interested, more interested than the father is. So, I mean, many of us don't have these clean, perfect, narrow cultural identities, but we have more complicated family stories as we all blend and grow and intermarry and people make their own way religiously and ethnically. There's more and more people who have sort of rich and complex ethnic identities. So I think that you can sort of think of Neshama as a book about a girl who is in search of how she's going to define herself in this world with her backgrounds and what it means to her to discover her Jewishness as part of her ethnic story and her cultural heritage. But also, it's a book that is meant to tell kids that they have permission to embrace whatever part of them is
yes.
part that they're embrace whatever stories come with their family as part of who they are. And that's precious, precious stuff.
Yes.
And to find out the stories of your grandparents and your family and to take that in as part of who you are.
Yes. And then choose as you're taking that all in, you're like, yes, learning. Yes, I like this. I don't like this. I'm going to acknowledge it. It is a part of my family, but it's not going to be who I am necessarily, who I live and strive to be. And so I think you can still take all these stories and acknowledge them as a part of your history and choose the good and the bad to let it help develop your identity.
That's the role. That's what young people who are in the middle grade years are doing. That's what adolescence is all about, is who do I want to be and what do I take and keep and what do I forge for myself.
Yes. Love it so much. Okay, can you tell us what's next? What are you working on next?
Well, I have a book that's coming out in 2027, my very first picture book.
Oh, fun.
So it's called A Sip of Sunrise,
Okay, beautiful
and
title.
thank you. And it is a book about that is based on my grandfather's immigration story from Divin, Poland to America. It's actually a book about a little girl who is trying to be reunited with her father who's living in America. So it's a story about the reasons why people leave the places that where they grow up to find new stories in new countries and how desperately we need a world where borders are open to people so that they can be safe in the places that they choose. So that book is coming out in 2027. And I've just started a new novel that I'm very excited about. So
Fun.
I, I have about 82 pages of a new novel written about a girl who has the most incredible imagination and imagines this fantastic world so deeply that she starts to slip away from the real
Mm.
world and find herself in this imaginary world. And so that book, I don't know when I'll be finished with it. It usually takes me about a year or two to finish a novel.
Right. Oh, especially when you're teaching eighth graders along the subject
Yes,
matter of
yes, and
family and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So, oh, but that, yeah, imagination is powerful and important and maybe even a little dangerous, apparently.
Yep.
All right. I'm excited for that one. Ooh, can't
Oh,
wait.
good.
That'll be great. And I love to end every interview. Could you recommend another favorite children's book with our audience?
Can I recommend two?
Yes, of course. I always
Okay, well,
recommend
so
history
I
books.
have recently been getting acquainted with the books of Meg Eden Kuyat,
Yes.
who wrote this wonderful book, The Girl in the Walls,
Yes.
which is another fantastic ghost story in verse. And she and I have discovered that our books are definitely sisters.
Right? They are so, because she, of course, she recommended your book, and you guys have these similarities,
Yes, we
and then they're
definitely
each
do.
their own very unique thing, though. It's just
Well,
you
both
wouldn't
books,
say, I've already read one like that.
no,
I don't
no,
need to reread
they're
it.
companion books. They're
Yeah.
companion books. They're
Yes.
both books about families that have secrets,
Hmm.
about kids learning how to shine their light, like forge their own path. So we're very, and I also love her book,
The Good
um,
Different.
The Good Different. And I'm so excited to learn that there's a new book coming out in that
Yes.
series too.
That
So,
companion one looks
um,
wonderful. Yeah.
so that's one book that I want to encourage people to read, The Girl in the Walls. And then there's another book that I've just discovered that I am just completely obsessed with. Okay, so it's this book here. The Boy, the Mole, wait, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Have you
Right.
ever heard about this
I
book?
have because I believe it's one that they often pitch as a graduation gift. Isn't it one that's
Oh,
kind of inspiring as like a hope? I haven't read it, but it's like
it
a
is. Yeah,
hopeful
I
thing.
didn't know that they did that, but I can totally see why.
Right. Yeah, I need
Oh
to
my
read it.
gosh, I love
Tell me more
this.
about it.
I it's about kindness and friendship.
Right.
And the artwork is incredible. And I was someone who used to love drawing horses as a kid, and the character in the new novel that I'm writing loves drawing horses and unicorns.
How fun.
Just the just the artwork is just
Oh, that's beautiful.
luscious. And the love between the characters of this horse and the boy and the fox and the mole is so palpable, and it's just so comforting. And I
Oh,
think in
nice.
a world where there's so many hard things happening and where there's so much strife between people, and we are in desperate need of peace and kindness on
Yes.
so
Yeah.
many levels. And this is a book that just radiates that kindness. So I've been
Oh,
sharing this book in my eighth grade classroom a lot.
nice. All right. Well, I need to go get it sooner than later. Yeah.
Do,
There's
yeah.
there's often that's just one of the ones that hangs out on the back that I'm like, I'm gonna get to it. And okay, it's moving forward.
Good.
Well, thank you so much, Marcella. I love talking about this. I do love Neshama, and I
Thank
think
you.
it's just a gorgeous, beautiful, inspiring story with just these intense moments and wonder. Thank you so much
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you, Karen. So thank you for having me on your show.
I hope that you enjoyed hearing about this beautiful novel in verse, Neshama. If you enjoy my podcast, Book Cuddle, I'd really appreciate it if you could go take a second and rate and review Book Cuddle on your podcast platform because that helps more people to be able to find my podcast.